My name is Craig Nash, and we'd like to welcome you to another It's a Grand Life. And our guest today is just going to be such a blessing to you, grand families at home. Robyn Wind from Generations United. And Generations United, I can't wait for you to hear about this fantastic organization out of Washington, D.C. that has been put together to support grandparents raising grandkids, as well as other groups as well. So, Robyn, thank you so much for joining us here on It's a Grand Life.
Hi, Craig. It's great to be here.
So can you tell us, first of all, how long have you been on this journey? And you're officially the Grand Voice Support Coordinator. And
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that, and then give us the mission and vision of Generations United.
Sure. So I am 50 and I live on the Muskogee Creek Reservation in Oklahoma. And 9.5 years ago, I received placement of my grandson, and that's how I started on my journey. It was the day before he turned 4 months old. That's how I started on my grand family journey. But I initially started out with Generations United as a Grand Voice. They did an initiative to kind of an equity initiative to have more Native people and underserved populations, underrepresented populations on the Grand Voices. And so that is how I became involved, and that was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And then nearly 2 years ago now, I came on staff as the Grand Voices Support Coordinator with Generations United. So I'll just tell you a little bit about Generations United. I just love our program. At GU, we believe in a world that values and engages all generations. We have intergenerational programming, not just grandparent programming, but we also have what I work in is the National Center on Grand Families, and we work to enact policies and promote programs that help grand families address challenges that we face. And it's a lot of challenges, isn't it, Craig?
There's an absolute ton of challenges. And, it's funny, I'm so glad that that GU represents all ethnic groups and everyone. But this situation of the grand family, just by the nature of how it is, it affects all of us, doesn't it?
It does. We know that there's over 2 million grand families in this country, and I feel like it's underrepresented for sure. So there's lots of us out here doing this work.
At least 2 million, right? I mean, I know in our state of Michigan, there's 54,000 grandparents that are helping to raise their grandchildren. But so what would you say is the overall vision of Generations United? I mean, what's the main focus?
Generations United, overall, our focus is to bring generations together, because we work better together. It's important to have older people involved with younger people, and because we both benefit. So, and under that falls our work that we do with grandparents.
It does affect everybody. It is so much better when all generations synchronistically cooperate to help raise the kids and what have you, aunts, uncles, and what have you. But what do you think our listeners I just heard about Generations United a couple months ago when one of your Grand Voices came on our program as a guest, and I was just blown away by all that you folks do. You're located all over the country. You've got 85 Grand Voices. And so you're almost in every state of the union, right? With a Grand Voice. And in fact, I was just asked to be a Grand Voice on behalf of the folks here in Michigan. I'm just thrilled to be a part of it, because we want to let everyone know of the outstanding things that are being done at a national level on behalf of grand families. And so how could Generations United benefit maybe from our grand families? How could we support you and vice versa? And what are some of the things you're doing for folks across the country?
Oh, Craig, well, like you said, we have about 85 members in 46 states and 12 tribes. And we are always looking for more Grand Voices to join us. And
Great.
Thank you so much, Craig. We're overjoyed to have you. And our Grand Voices, we really go out and advocate. We advocate for change. Our work's informed by our Grand Voices. We put out resources all the time. We have Grand Voices who have recently spoke in front of Congress about TANF and how that would affect grand families if there were any changes. So we want and need more grand families, and that's aunts, uncles, relatives, not just grandparents, even though that's most of us who are raising relatives, to be involved. And the goal is to change policies and programming so that it's better for everyone.
Has GU found that it's been quite a journey getting the folks in Washington to wake up to the needs of the grand family? I mean, is it a newer area of advocacy, would you say, or?
I don't think so, Craig. I mean, it's fairly new to me because I've only been a grandparent raising a grandchild since, for the last 9.5 years.
Right.
Generations United has been on this journey for 20 plus years.
Oh.
And, there's a lot of big legislation that's been passed that we've been a part of, and we've been, involved with helping educate and motivate those who have the ability to pass legislation to understand the importance of grand families in everything that we do, because we are raising the future of this nation, making sure they're safe and healthy and loved, and so that they can grow up to be great leaders.
I love that. And what has been amazing to me is the information that you all have on your website regarding, I mean, I just looked up the information for the state of Michigan. I would just encourage any of our listeners, regardless of what state you're from, you need to go on this website and learn a little bit about the grand family movement in your state, because it's bigger than you think it is. And wouldn't you say?
I would. And, you can go on gu.org. We have grandfamilies.org, and that there's a lot of information on there on existing state laws and policies that affect us. Additionally, if you are working with grand families, we have the Grand Families and Kinship Support Network, and it's the first ever National Technical Assistance Center for those who work with kinship and grand families. And it's gksnetwork.org.
Okay.
They have lots of resources for both families and professionals. And every month they have a brief two-page monthly resource that comes out, and it alternates being directed at grand families themselves, and then it'll be directed at professionals. So our monthly resources also include links to more information. Like, for example, this month's resource focuses on school.
Oh.
There's grand family caregiver tip sheets, on the gu.org website or grandfamilies.org. There's just so much. And prior to becoming on board with Generations United, I worked in child welfare, in Indian child welfare.
Okay.
And so I didn't know about GU either until I saw, I was at a conference and I saw something about Grand Voices. And then once I found the resources, I was like, that's so helpful to me, as not only professionally, but personally, because sometimes you don't know where to turn when you need something.
100% true. And so what is the difference for those of us at home and who may not be aware? What's the difference between a grand family and what you describe as kinship support?
Grand family is a term that we came up with that just envelops everybody. We think all relative caregivers, because we're all grand. We're doing grand things, right?
We are.
We just squeeze them all together, and it's just relative caregivers, whether it be aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, or grandparents.
And the kinship support, what's the difference?
I don't really think that there would be a difference. It's just
another term.
Yep, another term, same thing.
So it's grand family or it's kinship support. It means nice folks looking after the grandkids, right? That's the whole idea behind it. That's so you would highly recommend that folks go on the gksnetwork.org site and get all the information they could ever want regarding what's going on in their state, and also keeping track of different potential legislation that's being passed and what have you.
And grandfamilies.org has lots of state information. There's, like Craig was saying, there's state fact sheets We have partnered with the Dave Thomas Foundation, and there are state fact sheets that give grand families information in their state on the difference. What would be the difference between getting a guardianship, a supported guardianship, or adoption? Because some families go through the system like I did. My little guy was placed in DHS custody. So there's all kinds of wonderful information. So gu.org, grandfamilies.org, and the Technical Center website.
So that's absolutely great. So and gu.org and grandfamilies.org and gksnetwork.org really help folks get to the right spot regarding all of the resources available for the grand families or the kinship support network for our grands. So has there been any studies, Robyn, regarding the difference between these precious little ones who are raised in a grand family or a kinship situation versus going into the system where they're not with a relative and they're with a nice family is trying to help, but definitely there's a huge difference, I would imagine, between you raising your little guy and someone who didn't know him.
And, yes.
And have you found go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Craig. Absolutely. There's all kinds of information on that. There's been lots of studies, and we know that children do better when they're with relatives. They're connected, they stay connected to their community. For me, it was very important because so my little guy could stay connected to his tribal community and understand where he came from and his culture. They stay connected to their schools. They have a better outcome with their mental health, and just stability is better. And they say that they feel like they're loved and they're where they belong. So all kinds of studies you can find some on the website.
That's absolutely terrific. So it's we're doing great work, ladies and gentlemen, Grandma and Grandpa. We're doing great work out there. We got to keep it up. And I know some days your arms get tired, right? And we don't have the energy we did when we were 20 and 30. But loving our grands is really a high calling. And it absolutely makes a huge difference in the lives of, we've just seen that in the life of our granddaughter. When there's a calmness, not all the time, but when they feel loved and they know you love them, and you've got to discipline them. You got to be the parent and the grandparent at times, but what a difference love makes with these grand families. So what about your work, Robyn Wynn, has given you the most joy at Generations United?
Okay, that's easy. I love being in contact with my grand voices. It is here in Oklahoma. When I first got my little guy, it's pretty isolating, to be alone, and people your age and all of your peers are off, going on vacation and stuff, and you're holding a screaming baby, right? So I didn't have that here. I didn't have support groups, especially for people just in my in my position. So we have peer-to-peer meetings with the grand voices where we just get together and be together. They're not really that structured. Sometimes we'll talk about things, but I really, really enjoy connecting with everyone, because sometimes we're all in different stages of what we're going through, and sometimes we might just need people who have that experience, and because it is different for us. We're not like other grandparents.
Now, when our peers are going to Florida for 2 or 3 months in the winter, and all of our vacations, if you get them, are tied to the school calendar, it's very different, isn't it?
It is. This weekend, it was the heat index was like 125 in Oklahoma, and I was at the football field, and I was like, I'm too old for this. It's too hot, but he loves to play football, so there we are.
Right. And exactly right. We want to encourage them and where they're gifted, and support them any way we can, and that's what it's all about. But you didn't think maybe 20 years ago you might be there at the football field anyway. That is your grandson, but not every minute, perhaps, right? It's a different journey, but it's a grand journey, and I'm so thrilled to be on it, and I know you are as well. So, but what would you say are three things that you would want our grand families to take away from our time today? What should they know about Generations United and just kind of highlight the three things that they should really take home with them if they listen to this podcast?
Okay, three things. The first thing is if you're interested in being a grand voice and if you think you want to learn how to advocate, because I had to learn that with our lawmakers or just out in the public, let me know. We'll be happy to speak with you about that. The second is that this really is a joyful journey with Generations United. This organization really cares about what happens to us. And so all of these resources and things that we put out are influenced by, and usually they are always, checked by grand voices. So they're involved with the production of these tools and resources that you see. And I think the third thing is that Generations United, we're in this for the long haul. We're all in this together. And our slogan is, better together. So the resources are excellent. Please always reach out to me if you need to. It's rwind@gu.org, and I'll be happy to help you or point you in the right direction.
Robyn, thank you so much. It's been so great to have you here on It's a Grand Life. And I hope you'll join us next week. We're going to have Robyn come back and tell us about her personal situation. I know that's going to be a blessing to all of you. But your email again is rwind@gu.org. Yes. Outstanding. And by all means, visit the grandfamily.org website and gu.org. You're going to have more material there than you can handle at one sitting, I promise you. But we're going to be hearing a lot from Generations United as we continue this relationship with them. It's a Grand Life, and we're just so thrilled to be a part of this excellent organization, and can't wait to bring other guests and other grand voices to our podcast. So, Robyn, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you all next time on It's a Grand Life.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you for joining us for another It's a Grand Life. Remember to never waste your pain. God can use your situation to bless others even halfway around the world. Be sure and subscribe to It's a Grand Life on our Facebook page, as well as YouTube and any of the various podcast channels that feature the Grand Life podcast. When it comes to raising a grand family, remember the words of the Apostle Paul, who said in 1 Corinthians 13, "Love is patient, love is kind, it always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Love never fails." In leading your grand family, it's going to take faith, hope, and a whole lot of love. Please reach out to me. I can be a blessing to you and pray for you, or help you connect to free resources that can make your journey a little easier.